Welcome to days 14 and 15, I believe. I'm gonna have to double check that in the 22-day challenge. I didn't post a video yesterday either because it was one of those days where, again, my challenge I didn't do until later in the evening, so I just thought I'd talk about it today. And this was a really fun one. So today's challenge, well, for the day, I think maybe it's 15 and 16, I don't know, whatever days we're on, it'll be right in the description box. Today, for yesterday's challenge, basically, I did food magic. And I want to talk about this because it's really, really fun. There's a certain alchemical process that happens when you're making food. And the energy that you have and that you're emitting while you're making it really goes into the food. And it's a fun experiment to do to see if people can notice it. If you put very specific intentions in something you're making and play music at the same time that has a similar vibration to the intention that you're putting in. So yesterday I made this plate of gluten-free, they're gluten-free chocolate chip cookies. And I made them last night and I was feeling like I needed, here's the weird thing, I was reading Harry Potter, I was reading the Half-Blood Prince. I was just sometimes I just skim through these books because I love them so much, and I also get random weird inspirations. And there's a part where it's in Slughorn's potions class, and they're talking about poison antidotes, and that what you need to do when you're putting together an antidote for a poison is find that one ingredient that almost by an alchemical process makes all the ingredients, all the antidote ingredients together work powerfully. And something about that really stood out to me. And sometimes, like with movies or books or whatever, when I read little things, because I love to do magic, that when I read something that resonates with me, I write it down in my magic book and then I try it out in a way that's intuitive to me that I understand it. And what I felt was, with me, so we all know that the placebo effect works, and there's been tons of studies about this, what suggestion, and when we believe something about something, that it actually is the case. And for me, one of the things that I feel like I don't really have any enjoyment in anymore is sweets, because, you know, we've been told so many things about sugar and how bad it is for you, which it is, and I mean, it can be like poison. And I feel like there's a certain joy that I used to have from when I was a kid that I don't have anymore, because I think especially when you start getting really healthy and you start really paying attention to food and where it comes from and all those things, you can start to feel like food's your enemy rather than your friend. And that's something that I've been like actively, consciously trying to work on, is not treat my food like it's my enemy. And of course not overindulge in anything, but not try to be, I want to be in a reality where everything in my reality is good for me. Everything that I choose to bring into my vibration. And the truth is, if you keep, if your vibration's really high, things won't hurt you anyway. So that's why I focus on keeping a high vibration. So with these cookies, I kept them gluten-free because I do have a sensitivity to gluten. Maybe it's psychological, again, because we've been told that gluten's so bad. I don't know. But I really don't feel great when I eat gluten. So I still did them gluten-free. But the fact that they're cookies and they still have sugar in them and all those things, usually if I eat a cookie or something like that, I get almost an immediate headache. And so this was sort of an experiment for me. So I had made sure all day I was working on my vibe and getting my vibe really, really high. And then I was thinking of what intentions do I want in this food. And the whole time I was making these cookies, like with the chocolate chips and all the butter and all the ingredients, I was putting in very specific intentions for things for my body that I'd want it to be, and things for mainly for how I wanted it to feel, like how I wanted to feel. And I put this whole like childlike nostalgia in it, because when you're little and you get a cookie, it just seems so magical, and there is a magic to that. And I was evoking that whole like mother magic. And I even turned on, like I have this Disney mix that's just classical piano, but it has like all the Disney songs. So I had that on, and I just had this really beautifully magical feel while I was making these, and I felt really, really good. And at one point I tasted the dough just to see how it was, and I almost started feeling a headache coming on, so I was like, okay, I need to get my vibe higher. So I was like, I even amped it up more as I was putting in these spells, and I even stopped for a minute and like did some meditation and breathed deeply and just evoked like a feeling of childhood, like bliss and joy. It was really an interesting process. Like, it was super intense, but I felt like by the time I was done making these, by the time they were in the oven, I felt like total bliss. Like I had just taken liquid luck or something. Like I felt amazing. So the interesting thing is, when they came out, I just ate one, didn't get a headache, and I totally savored it, and it made me feel so happy. And here's the thing, while I was making them and had that like childlike bliss around me, I have been feeling lately like there's a child spirit with me. I know this sounds weird, but several people have commented on it. Like they feel like there's a child with me, like a child that actually wants to be my child that's been with me, like a spirit. And, you know, I kind of take that with a grain of salt, but I've been feeling that exact same thing as well. I keep having things pop up on my screen. And I felt it so strongly as I was making these cookies, almost like my future children were with me and so excited, like looking at me and like, yes, this is the mom we want to choose. It was just a weird experience. And I didn't really put much thought into that. But at one point as I was making it, out loud, I said, oh my gosh, I keep getting, okay. Out loud, I said, yes, children, your mother will make these for you. Like, and it just sort of popped out of my mouth and I wasn't even thinking. And then that wasn't even the focus at all of my intentions that I put into there, but it just sort of popped up and I was feeling that like child, obviously I was bringing a childlike energy, but I felt this like spirit child with me, childs I should say too. Anyway, so that's a side note and it's important because my sister, I had made these really late and I just ate one and then I had gone to bed. So my sister in the morning had ate about 3 and she was like, what did you put into these cookies? Like they were just so good. I just felt so happy as I was eating them. I was like, interesting. And then she said, well, I'll tell you what she said later because she told me later in the evening about something she thought while she was eating them. So then later I had the guy I'm dating come over and I gave him one. I let him have one. And he was eating, he's like, wow. He's like, these are so good. And he's like, for some reason it makes me want to get you pregnant. And I almost like grabbed the cookie and took it out of his mouth because I knew that energy was so much in there. So that was just weird. And I kind of, again, like laughed it off, but I thought it was really interesting that he said that, like that's what he thought of. And then my sister later, she works really late. So she got home from work late last night and she was like asking me how everything went last night with the guy that I went out with. And she was like, I had a really strong feeling for some reason that if you had, with this guy that I'm dating, she's like, that if you would have had sex with him last night, you would have gotten pregnant. I don't know why, but it came over me really strongly. And she's eating a cookie as she's telling me that too, but she was saying earlier that day when she was eating them in the morning, that's when she felt it. She was like, I just had this really strong feeling that if you had sex tonight, you were gonna get pregnant. And I was like, what? Like, I was so, and I didn't have sex. But I was like, that's just weird. Like, it was a weird thing. It was just bizarre to me because I felt that energy. And I remember when I was feeling that energy really strongly, I was thinking, well, I should probably not have sex anytime soon because I felt that energy. Like, I felt the energy of, like, children wanting to come through. Very, very, very strange. So I don't really know if it's connected or not, but I think that, well, everything's connected and everything is energy. So it was just interesting how I evoked that energy in the cookies. But both the people who ate them said that they were magical. And I didn't tell them what I did. I told my sister afterwards, after she was telling me how, she's like, they just make me feel so happy. And she didn't get a headache from them either, and she's usually pretty sensitive as well. So that's just something fun to try to do, to just experiment with food magic. And I purposely chose cookies because it's something that I want to heal my relationship with. Like, I just want to be able, if I want to eat a cookie, I don't want to feel like, oh, it's so bad, or oh, I'm going to get sick, or oh, I'm going to get a headache. I'm trying to heal those things because I don't want those things to exist in my reality. So anyway, something to think about. And I hope you guys have a good day. And for the second challenge, I'm actually going to make a second video. So hope you guys are doing well. Ciao.